moving on to a film that I've been wanting to watch ever since I watched the very first Christopher Nolan Tenet trailer. When I saw that trailer and I saw the main actor, and I was just like, wait, he looks familiar. And I'm like, and then I look him up. I was like, oh, he was in Blackkklansman. And oh shit, that dude is Denzel Washington's son. So, right? I want to see. I want to make sure. I don't want to like claim it or anything, and him not be Denzel Washington's son. I'm pretty sure he is. I'm almost positive that he is. Let me see. John David Washington, son of Denzel Washington. That's what I thought. Okay, so yeah, I don't have my fucking head up my ass when I say this. Don't worry, guys. We're only on like 20 minutes, so relax. This might be a little bit longer. But anyway, so yeah, I watched Blackkklansman because it's also on HBO. And, thanks to my friend Chewy, I have his Hulu, and he also has HBO. He lumps HBO in with Hulu. Hulu? That's a really cool feature that you can, like, lump shit in with Hulu. I think you can lump in, like, Showtime, HBO. I'm sure some other channels as well. I should probably invest in that and stop bumming it off of my friend. But anyway, thank you, Chewy. But, yeah, so I watched Blackkklansman, and if you're unfamiliar with Blackkklansman, it's about this real-life guy named Ron Stallworth. He's an African-American police officer back in, I believe it was the 70s. He was a police officer in the Colorado Springs Police Department, and he successfully infiltrates his local Ku Klux Klan branch. So he becomes a Ku Klux Klan member with the help of another undercover detective in his unit. So it's directed by Spike Lee. So I haven't seen one of his films in a long time, so it's happy to see one of his. And it stars John David Washington, like I just said, Adam Driver. Who else is there? It's pretty much everyone notable. What's his face plays David Duke, which is hilarious. Topher Grace, right? Topher Grace. Yeah, I'm pretty sure Topher Grace plays David Duke, which is pretty funny. He does actually a pretty good job. But yeah, John David Washington and Adam Driver are the two main actors in this film. And like I said before, John David Washington, Denzel Washington's son. So it's always kind of interesting to see these, children of these really famous people who have a legacy already, and they try to do the same thing, like follow in their parents' footsteps and their same, their same career path. It's always very interesting because it highly, isn't like the best thing to do for children like this, but this is like one of the few times where I think the son does an incredibly good job and really stands on his own as a fantastic actor because he gives a hella good performance here. Him and Adam Driver are both phenomenal in this film. All the acting is phenomenal in this. Everyone brings it to the table. I think Spike Lee does do a really good job of really getting really great performances out of his actors. I think that's one of his big strengths as a director. Also, having a banging soundtrack is also one of Spike Lee's great strengths. But yeah, also the afros are on point, especially John David Washington's afro in this one. I don't know if it's his actual hair, but it's pretty perfect. It's pretty great. I love it. Also, in the film, I don't know, just the very type of culture back in the 70s, especially African American culture, was very jazz heavy and very, I don't know, it just seemed joyous and fun. I thought that was really cool to see that, in terms of all the civil rights shit that was going on back then, they still had the time to really, embrace their culture and have fun with it. And, I thought those moments in the film I really enjoyed and made me smile heavily. I really liked that a lot. But yeah, this film does a lot very, very well. Like I said, the acting is stellar from everyone. Surprisingly, the film is hilarious. Surprisingly very hilarious, especially at the very end when he's on the phone Ron Stallworth, our main character, is on the phone with David Duke, and he basically tells him to go fuck himself, and that he's been talking to a black dude this entire time. It's so great. Yeah, it's I think it's just as funny as it is suspenseful. I mean, there's a lot of suspenseful, things in here. I mean, you're dealing with, the Ku Klux Klan and a black man infiltrating it. I mean, it's shit's gonna go down, and it definitely does. I don't know if it actually does in that way. I mean, I'm sure some creative liberties were taken with this one, but you know what? I think it does. I think it works for the film heavily, and it makes it a lot more enjoyable. The writing in the show is very great. It's very almost brilliant. The way it's delivered is also really awesome. I mean, the big thing about this one is that it does have a political message to it, but I think what makes this film really great is it's not incredibly heavy-handed, and I think it does play a little bit more of a balanced take on it. I mean, obviously, I'm not saying racism is bad. I'm saying racism is bad. I'm not saying... God damn it, Michael. Stop fucking up words. Racism is clearly very bad. But I think what this film really brings out and really brings forward, which really surprised me because I thought it was going to be pretty one-sided, and honestly I was kind of going to be okay with that. I mean, you're dealing with the Ku Klux Klan. They're pretty fucking terrible, and if you're involved with them, you're a terrible person. Fuck you. Clearly they're not open-minded, and they judge people strictly on race, and that's just a really dumb thing to do. You're pretty stupid. I think it really delves in with the problem with, I guess, taking sides, or not really taking sides, but like engulfing yourself in one side and basically surrounding yourself with a bunch of people with the similar opinions as you, and having that kind of mold your way of thinking, especially about the other side. I think the one big thing that this one scene that I really loved in this movie, in this film, is when Adam Driver's character, when he was at the Ku Klux Klan ceremony, he was getting indoctrinated or inducted into the Ku Klux Klan with that ceremony. But Spike Lee also mirrors it with another big rally meeting of this Black College Association of Black America. I forget what exactly it was called, but they were all gathered together listening to an older Black civil rights activist telling about his story of when he was this really rough, dark, disturbing story about how he was discriminated against and shit happened to him, and it was very visceral and very emotional. You were like, holy shit, it's both sides were kind of playing up their own views and I don't know, using very powerful words to incite this group mentality and this violence against the other side, and how we're the good guys, they're the bad guys. I mean, even though clearly the one side was clearly the bad side. Obviously the Ku Klux Klan are the bad guys. But I mean, also it just brings out how this can be damaging even on the other side. When you're on the good side, still can be bad to do this. I don't know, what is that? It's some fucking fan or some shit. Someone's air conditioner. I'm sorry about that if you can hear that. But I think the film does a really great job of showing that, and how, I mean, again, it's a very political film, and a lot of times you're like, oh, that's definitely shots at the new administration that we have today. And I think that's kind of where the film does kind of have a little bit, brings it down a little bit, having those a little small, heavy-handed, moments where it's that's a clear shot against, our current president, Donald Trump, even though I don't like him at all. But, I don't agree with, I don't agree with the majority of his policies, and I just don't like him as a person. Um, but I mean, like, again, it's just like I don't really want to be reminded of, of that shit when I'm watching a film, but it's still there. But I think it also, really balances that with its very entertaining story, entertaining characters, and engrossing plot, and incredible acting and incredible style of the film. I mean, especially when you watch a Spike Lee film, he has a certain style that's very unique to him, and that's what makes him very, popular and a really talented filmmaker. Even though I don't love all of his films, I love the I really like the majority of his films, and this is no different from those. I really, really like this film. But yeah, again, I do like how, again, it takes a really balanced view, and it really, drives the point home of that, like, not all police officers are racist assholes, guys, which is really cool. And, that's the problem with, playing the sides. Like, everything that this side thinks is right, or everything about this side, thinks is right. And really, it's like, that's usually never what happens. There's usually some middle ground that can be found. But, I mean, yeah, again, racism is clearly bad. So, but yeah, other than that, I mean, there's also, they kind of bring that whole Charlottesville thing, what happened in Charlottesville in the very end, and it brings some footage at the very end to kind of drive its point home, and I thought that was really kind of unnecessary, even though it was like a year removed from that. I think the Charlottesville incident, which is ridiculous how that thing could even happen. That was only 3 years ago. That was back in 2017 when that happened, which is insane how that shit still goes on today, and people were still, judging people based off of the color of their skin. It's so dumb. Like, stop. Like, you're stupid. Like, you're not a smart person if you think someone is inherently evil strictly based off of their color of their skin. Like, you're retarded. You're dumb. Maybe not retarded, sorry, that's not a politically correct term to use, I guess, but you're an idiot. Fuck you. But anyway, let's just say this. Does the film have the movie magic or not? Let's move on. Does it have the movie magic? Hell yeah. I definitely thought this film had the movie magic to me. It definitely had Mikey's movie magic. But it definitely surprised me how one, good it was, how it was funny, it was intense, the acting was stellar, and just how, like, it did kind of take a balanced look, and it covered some themes that I thought would have been great to cover in a film like this, and they capitalized on that. Spike Lee capitalized on it, and I was really surprised. I was gonna be like, I kind of, thought maybe this was gonna be like sort of one-sided type of film, and I don't think it was, and I really appreciated, and I commend the film for that, and that's part of the reason why I kind of loved it. And also, again, I want to circle back around to John David Washington, our main character, who plays Ron Stallworth, Denzel Washington's son. He's fucking phenomenal. He's like the man. I mean, he's very different from his father. Like, they're both incredibly likable, but like Denzel Washington has this commanding presence to him, but his son John David Washington, he's just like really cool and really likable. Like, he has that personality where he's like quick-witted, he's funny, but he's also kind of a badass, and he's just like kind of a lighthearted type of dude. He's just like a really, sorry, I thought I heard something. I don't know. Again, there's so much fucking noise in this apartment. Sorry about this, guys. Don't worry, this will change eventually. But yeah, he's just a really likable dude. He's just kind of that really cool, level-headed type of guy, and obviously Denzel is that more commanding presence. So he's not trying to replicate what his father did, which I really appreciate. He finds something else that he's good at, which I really liked. And so, yeah. Especially if you're wanting to see the new Christopher Nolan film, Tenet, I would definitely check this one out to see, just for John David Washington's performance. And also, Adam Driver, if you like Adam Driver, definitely watch this one. It's a good film. It's a really good film. I highly recommend this one. Hello. Thanks for watching that clip of my episode of Nerd Out Sanctuary. I appreciate you watching. If you don't know, this is a video podcast about, movies, TV, video games, other types of entertainment, comic books, novels, maybe occasionally. I don't know. I don't really read that much, but when I do, I want to talk about it. So yeah, just know that there's a lot more of these, and I appreciate you if you give me a like and subscribe and watch more. If you're just if you're watching here on YouTube, know that this is also a podcast, an audio podcast. I'm on Spotify, iTunes, and Google Play, so you can download my podcast episodes, listen to them while you're driving in the car, taking a shit, making dinner, doing your laundry, or whatever, when you're at work, when you're supposed to be working, but you're just kind of like, mindless, doing some mindless tasks while listening to my podcast. It's the shit. Hopefully you guys, get good recommendations out of me, and hope you guys keep enjoying my show. So yeah, thanks. And bye.